Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Gentlemen, Mr. Williams, Mr. Halderman, I'd like to start my questions with you. A lot of your first off, I want to commend you for being here. If I were taking a salary like you guys were in these times, I'd be real reluctant to be up and facing the people. I admire you for taking the heat on this. But let me ask you a question. You compare your salaries in justifying them to those made in private sector companies. In those private sector companies, very often the compensation package is based on very specific designed results and the performance of the company, and you basically serve at the pleasure of the shareholders through the board of directors. In Freddie and Fannie, you guys basically are serving the taxpayers. We've invested a whole lot of money in your company, and really this committee is about the only, and Congress is about the total level of oversight we have. And what I've heard from people back home is a pretty consistent, wow, why are you taking this much money that's performing so poorly and having to come back? And I've heard today that you said, well, it would be doing worse if we weren't doing what we do. So let me ask you this: would you all invest in Freddie and Fannie? Would you put your own money in that and expect to see a return or to see it level out? And I guess we'll start with Mr. Williams.
Congressman, let me start with a few points. First of all, as we've all, to your comments, the losses that we have been incurring are due to the loans that were booked prior to 2009. Secondly, the management team that we have brought in is a new management team to deal with the challenges that we are facing and the specific issues that we've been asked to serve as conservator. Stabilize the company, to provide the necessary liquidity and support to the market, ensure there's an adequate supply of affordable rental housing, and help distressed homeowners wherever we can.
Okay, but I understand. But you started in this company 20 years ago I think you testified earlier, at well over $100,000. So I mean, you've been there through this. Where were you kicking and screaming? Again, tell me if you were, because I don't know. Where were you kicking and screaming and say, hey, we're about to get in a lot of trouble?
Congressman, I'm happy to discuss my role prior to conservatorship. So in the years leading up to conservatorship, I served as Chief Operating Officer of the company. I was responsible for managing our regulatory agreements that were put in place prior to conservatorship and making sure we achieved all the objectives under that. I was responsible for leading the company's efforts to restate our financial statements and get current with the SEC's filings, which we did all of that. And I led the company's, oversaw the company's areas such as technology, human resources, as well as our back office.
But from an executive level, didn't you have to see some of this coming?
Congressman, in hindsight, I'm sure we all wish that we could have made different decisions back in that time.
Okay, all right. Well, let me just ask one more question. Now, I think it would be fair to say that there are a lot of people who take jobs for less money than they would make in other jobs for reasons beyond compensation. I mean, you take the President. I mean, doesn't pay all that well. The Supreme Court doesn't pay nearly what a good lawyer can make in the private sector. And certainly our teachers, who are underpaid throughout this country, take jobs for reasons beyond compensation. And you look in the private sector, and Vikram Pandit of Citigroup says he's not going to take any compensation until the company turns a profit. I mean, don't you think we could get qualified people to do your jobs and the jobs of those other senior executives without having to pay millions of dollars?
Congressman, I'm happy to address that question because, first of all, as I noted, this is a new team. We've reduced executive compensation by 50%. We've reduced the number of senior executives by 30%. But I can tell you, are these jobs competitive? Yes. In the course of 3 months, I lost 5 senior vice presidents out of the company to financial services and other companies where I can assure you they were making more money and had better career prospects as a result. These are challenging jobs in challenging circumstances, and we need to pay and reward the people who are doing the jobs.
I see that my time is about to expire, and I apologize for not getting to you, Mr. Halderman. Thank you.